Hello guys, in this video we are going to be talking about the backlight section of the mobile phone. Backlight section of a mobile phone. But the backlight is what helps you to see the image. When you look at the top of your phone, of your screen, you are going to see a line that is a light. So from that line, you can reduce the brightness and so the phone will become dark, or you can increase the brightness so that you can see clearly the image. So the component or the section that controls that light is the backlight section, which is this one. The backlight section. This is the backlight section. And you can see this is a inductor or the coil, and then this is a diode. In most phones, you always see the coil and the diode. In most phones, you always see this coil and you always see this diode. So in order to identify the backlight section, when you open the phone, check for this coil and this diode. When you look at the diode very closely, you see that on this side of the diode, there's a mark. You can see the mark there. On this side of the diode, there's a mark. So this side that is not marked is a positive. And then this side that there's a line is a negative, which is the output, where the voltage leaves there and goes to your screen connector. And also in most phones, you are going to see this IC, this 6-pin IC. In most phones, you see this 6-pin IC. So in order to identify the backlight, in most phones, you always see this coil and this diode. So if I take another motherboard, you see that, for example, if I take this motherboard, you see that in this motherboard, you not see that IC. You not see the IC, the 6-pin IC. So you check it. You see? If you check it carefully, you not see the IC. You see that there's no IC, there's no 6-pin IC in this motherboard. Check it closely, and you not see it. But if I show you this area, can you tell me where the backlight is, the backlight section? If you look closely, you're going to see where the backlight is. Check it out. Have you seen it? This is the backlight section. This is the backlight section, but there's no IC. That IC is not there. If you check closely, you see that this is the power IC. And the power IC is the IC that generates the backlight for this phone. You see the power IC is the one that generates the backlight for this phone. That's the diode, and this is a coil. It's connected to this IC, this power IC. But there is no 3-pin IC and 6-pin IC. So, like I said, in most phones, if you want to identify the backlight section, check for this diode, check for this coil and this diode. You always see them. Now, this coil, anytime you see this coil on the side of the IC, it means that is where the input voltage of this IC is coming from. This coil is where the input voltage. So if you want to check the voltage that is coming into this IC, you should be checking from this coil. So in this motherboard, this section or this coil gets the input voltage from the battery. Why do I say from the battery? Because it has a small charging IC. Check closely. You see that the charging IC is a small one. It's not big. So it uses the voltage and sends it to the battery. So the battery will send the voltage to this coil and passes it on both sides. So the voltage will enter here and goes to the other side of the coil. So in this side, if the voltage is 3.6 volt, you see that both sides of this coil is going to have the voltage. This side will be 3.6, the other side will be 3.6, and then it is going to pass it from this side into this IC from this pin. And then the other side, which is this one, is going to pass that voltage into this other pin. So this both side of this pin is going to receive the voltage. And then together, this IC and the coil, and then the voltage is going to pass also into this diode from the positive side. And all of them are going to boost that voltage to a high voltage, maybe like 20 volt or like 30. And then they will pass it into this diode to this other side, which is a negative, so that the diode can filter the voltage and then provide a clean and smooth voltage that will be going to your screen. So this side, the voltage has come from this coil, and from this diode is the positive, or the anode is a positive voltage. But we also need the negative. The negative voltage will come from one of the side of this pin, from the other side. This side will give you the negative voltage. So this side is a negative, but it's not ground, it's negative. In order for electron to be produced, you need to have negative and positive in electricity. So this side is the negative, not the ground. So the voltage from here is going to leave and go to your screen connector, while the one that goes to this side, from the both side of this pin into this coil, passes through this diode, and then from there passes here and goes to your screen connector for that backlight to be produced. And then this one that is in the middle is NC. NC means it's not connected, so we don't use it. And then this other one that is here is the ground. When you test it, you see that it's connected to ground. And then this middle one, the one that is in the middle between the two voltage, this one in the middle is enable signal. When you look at it closely, you see that it's in the middle of the both sides of the voltage. This one is the enable signal. This enable signal is coming from the CPU. The CPU is this man. The CPU is the boss of the phone. So the CPU sends the signal. It's like a command center. It commands all the other IC to start working. It's a command center. So it will send that signal, enable signal, and passes it through your screen connector, and then it will come into this IC from this side. You enter the IC from this side. So this is the point where when you decrease the brightness of your phone, and then the CPU will send signal to this IC to decrease the voltage. So you see that when it decreases that light, the phone becomes dark, the voltage decreases. And then when you increase the light, the voltage increases also. So when you are increasing and decreasing, this is where the function comes from. So this IC is the one that gives the command through that enable signal, that line that comes here. It's a 1.8 volt and enters the IC from this side, from this pin. So if any of this pin are not receiving, or they are not producing that voltage, or are not receiving the voltage that is required, then there will be no backlight. So if you have a backlight problem, this is where you should be troubleshooting. First of all, you have to identify the two most important. All of them are important, but this one, you can mostly identify the backlight section from this coil and this diode. Very important. When you check at it closely, you see that the diode, as I said, has a line. Check the line. The line shows it that this side is a negative. That is a mark. The mark side is a negative. But the side that is not marked is the positive, that receives the voltage and passes it to the other side, so that it can provide a clean and also stabilize the voltage and sends it to your screen connector. So I think that is said. I hope you understand everything that I said. That is the backlight section. So if there's anything you don't understand, you can send me a message on the comment section. So like I said, the CPU is the boss. It's like the brain. So it undergoes function of everything that happens in the phone. It's just like you can take for example, like a company that has a manager or a director, the director is not there. Sometimes the workers are not going to work. So this one is the director is it gives commands to all the ICs to start functioning. Okay, like I said, this phone, it gets the input voltage from the battery connector because it has a small charging IC. But in another phone like this one, you see that it's very difficult on this phone to identify the backlight. If you check here, you see that. Can you see the backlight? You see the backlight section, right? You see that it's very difficult to identify it. You see this is the backlight section. You see that it's not a 6-pin IC, it's a different one. It's a rebolling chip, it's not a 6-pin. And then this is that coil, and then this is the diode. You see that this one is very complicated. So on this motherboard, the input of this IC, input voltage for this IC is coming from the charging IC instead of the battery connector. Why? Because this phone has a bigger charging IC. You see that the charging IC has a coil, and then this IC sends the voltage on two ways. The voltage that comes from the charging IC goes on two ways. One is going to enter the coil, and then the coil is going to distribute it to the backlight section and to other section. But another voltage will also come from this diode. Where you check carefully, this is a diode. This is a diode. You see, check carefully, this is a diode. And the voltage that comes from here and passes through this capacitor and enters this diode is going to the battery. So it sees that it produces two voltages, one from here and the other one from there. And that is that for today. Please like my videos and subscribe to my channel, please, so that this channel can go to other people. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video.